Chapter I. Are there more worlds than one? Our world is large enough to excite our interest and invite our study, until we close our eyes in death. Yet there are countless other orbs, scattered through the solar system and throughout the vast stretches of the starry heavens. Some of these worlds are smaller than ours, but the majority of them are hundreds or thousands of times larger. Looking away from our solar system, we find that each star is a sun. In most instances, the center of a group of worlds. So, for the lack of a better phrase, we shall say that there are millions of solar systems, distributed through limitless space, each one serving its part in the great universal plan. For what purpose are all these immense worlds shining and swinging in the depths of immensity? Could it be possible that they are nothing more than vast pieces of dead machinery, barren of all vegetable growth and intelligent life, whereon desolation and solitude forever prevail? Our own Earth is inhabited by a large variety of living forms ranging from the microscopic bacteria and animalcula to the glorious form of man, with all his superior endowments. The air, earth and water are teeming with their billions of sensitive creatures. Even a breath of air, a drop of water, or a leaf on a tree often contains a miniature world of living forms. Amidst all this confusing animation around us, is it not absurd to suppose that other worlds, larger or smaller than our own, are barren of all life, and that from them no songs of thanksgiving ever arise to the Maker and Ruler of all things? Such a supposition not only gives us a strange view of the character and attributes of God, but is at once repulsive to our instincts. Anyone wishing to accept it may do so. But as for me and for a large company of my kind, we prefer to give a larger meaning to creation and a higher glory to the Creator. Let no one doubt that the universe is full of intelligent life, in myriad types of existence and infinite stages of development. Physically speaking, one cannot imagine the countless variety of ways in which flesh and bone may congregate around the human brain to make a sentient and intelligent creature. Confined as we are to our little dark world, we know by sight of only one way in which the brain conveys its messages and serves its ends, namely, through a body of 100 pounds or more of flesh and bone, formed erect, and capable of rendering service upon a moment's notice. Therefore some of us are conceited enough to believe that we are the most perfect and beautiful beings of the universe, the highest expression of creative art, and that all other creatures in a million orbs take a secondary place. True enough, we occupy an honored position in the scale of creation. But, while the people of many worlds are beneath us, yet there are many more planets whereon human genius has surpassed us, and we must be modest enough to take our rightful place in the drama of the worlds. How many planets? How many suns? How many Milky Ways are there? You ask in one breath, speaking alone of our own universe, of which the Milky Way is the backbone. I estimate that if we multiply the number of stars by 49, we shall have the approximate number of worlds that are large enough to be classed with the family of inhabited planets. In our immediate universe there are at least 100 million stars, a number of which have over 500 worlds revolving around them. Others have only 6 or 10. The average, as above stated, is estimated at 49. Then, also, far out in the depths of space, there are nebulous spots visible only through the most searching lenses. These are new systems of Milky Ways or new universes, so immensely distant that our most powerful telescopes cannot even resolve them into stars. There are inhabited worlds so far from us that, if one could travel the distance around our Earth in 1 second, he could proceed in one direction at this rate of speed, or 20 million years, and yet see far ahead of him the flickering lights of numberless other inviting suns and worlds. We cannot possibly grasp an idea of such infinite distances. Neither can we form any adequate conception of the long stretches between star and star, which is the same as saying between solar system and solar system. In our Milky Way the stars seem to be crushed together into a whitish jelly. But the awful truth looms up before us with all sublimity, that, although these stars seem to lie one upon another, they are millions and trillions of miles apart. In regard to our own solar system, much speculation is rife as to the existence of human creatures on the several larger planets. Theories of all kinds have been advanced, some speculative or absurd, others so plausible as to give rise to interesting questions, such as communicating with Mars, and perhaps of taking a journey to the moon. These suggestions, while fanciful, awaken our interest and excite our curiosity. Can anyone predict the excitement that would prevail in our world if a human creature from some other planet were suddenly to set foot upon our soil? We would fling 1,000 questions at him to learn something of the strange realm from which he came. And how great would be our amazement if we were to have the exalted privilege of journeying to other worlds, seeing the types of human creatures living there, and witnessing 1,000 other things too strange and wonderful to mention. I invite you to listen as I tell a condensed story of a number of worlds which I have visited, all within the boundary line of our own universe. I cannot even tell a tithe of what I saw and heard, but must content myself with giving a passing view of 1,000 worlds, some of which are situated in a very distant corner of our universe. Well, you may ask, how could you travel from world to world and see the various forms of human life, and then remain alive to tell a part of the marvelous tale? If it is a mystery to you, it is also a mystery to me. I cannot describe the pinions that carried me, nor tell whence came the strength that moved my wings, any more than I can explain by what process I was preserved alive in worlds of fire, in worlds of ice, and in worlds without air. But the sight of all these things was as real to me as the dreams of the night, and it must be admitted that dreams are often as realistic as the acts of our wakeful moments. For many years I looked outward toward the starry firmament, and at times a deep yearning possessed me to speed away to converse with the inhabitants of other spheres. This hope I cherished so strongly that my thoughts completely overpowered me, and ere I knew it I was living at the mercy of indescribable emotions. All this continued during many revolutions of the earth on its axis. I felt as Columbus must have felt when he was moving over strange waters. Then occurred the most notable event of my life. In the twinkling of an eye I was caught away from the earth, and without any effort of my own, I was darting through space faster than a sunbeam. Chapter 2. A Visit to the Moon. I was not prepared for the quick transit to our satellite, nor for the views thrust upon me so suddenly. Before I could well collect my thoughts I found myself in the immediate vicinity of the moon, and, strange as it may seem, I was conscious of my surroundings and knew that I had power to transport myself instantly to any place I might wish to go. To see the moon face to face gives a charming satisfaction which can never be realized 240,000 miles away. I was conscious of my privilege and was determined to take all possible advantage of it. Now how differently everything appeared from the views I had snatched through the telescope while yet on the earth. I could not see the man in the moon, whose grinning face had so often looked down upon me. But, from my first point of observation, everything looked as if life had never existed there, and, consequently, I was about to conclude that no human beings inhabit the moon. This theory soon vanished, for after I had traveled over 100 miles I came to a thriving center of population, the largest city on the sphere, inhabited by more than 60,000 rational beings. These creatures resemble us most strongly in their mental capacities, though their bodies are out of harmony with ours, having 3 eyes and no nose. The third eye is situated in the center of the forehead, and the other 2 more toward the sides of the head. Life is not sustained by breathing a gaseous air as we do, so that the sense of smell is performed by the protruded upper lip. At the voluntary effort to catch scent, the upper lip noticeably rolls upward into a partial scroll. I was anxious to learn how the life of these moonites is sustained without breathing, and, to my astonishment, I learned that they eat solid air at intervals of about 6 hours. This is not taken in connection with the regular food, but is eaten alone and carried into a separate stomach, wherein it is disintegrated by the chemical action of the stomachic acids. The gases thus formed serve the same purpose as the air we breathe into our lungs. According to the conjectures of some earthly astronomers, I was expecting to see a race of immense giants. On the contrary, I found that these moonites grow to only about 1/4 our height, but possess fully 3/4 as much circumference of body. Notwithstanding that they are so short and rotund, they are healthy and exceedingly quick in all their bodily movements. No doubt I shall be chided for saying that these moon inhabitants are a handsome people, but I was enabled to judge them by a universal standard of beauty, and I looked upon them as a product of the same infinite Creator who fashioned our mortal bodies with such marvelous adaptation of means to end. One thing is sure: were a person from the moon to set foot upon our planet, he would estimate us to be as far out of harmony with his standards of beauty as we should consider him to be out of harmony with ours. As might be expected, these people are very peculiar in their habits. There is a small percentage of the population who are bright stars intellectually, while others are extremely indolent. When a person wins a record for laziness, it is said of him, he is too lazy to eat his air. The large city to which I had come was indeed a novel sight. Its buildings average in height 1/3 of ours. Although they occupy nearly as much ground space, they are composed almost totally of non-combustible materials. The window panes are not made of a brittle substance like glass, but resemble mica, except that they are more tough and durable. These moonites are wiser than we in roofing their houses. They have discovered a mineral composition which in its plastic state is daubed over the roof. This, upon hardening, is proof against all conditions of weather, and never needs replacing. There are many striking features in their architecture. In general, it may be said that they are quite far advanced in constructive ability. Some of their larger buildings look like soldiers' forts. Others resemble immense beehives, while still others appear like odd-shaped synagogues. We are their superiors in almost every line, especially in our knowledge and use of electricity and photography, and also in our manufacturing and scientific skill. However, they have decidedly surpassed us in imitative and creative art. Their paintings express so accurately the emotions of the heart that I found myself in tears as I saw their masterpieces. For a time I forgot that I was on the moon. So lost was I in elevated reflections, all suggested by their art creations. How I wished that I could have taken some of these specimens with me. From the moon our Earth looks like a large wagon wheel hanging in the heavens. It is amusing to learn of the various opinions and superstitions that are held regarding this wagon wheel world. Some of the Moonites declare that it is a huge lantern, hung solely for their benefit, and scoff at the idea that it might be a world inhabited by civilized beings. More intelligent Moonites venture the theory that human life could exist on the Great Wagon Wheel, but declare that this is quite improbable, as the whole planet is enveloped by some thick, smoky substance in which they believe it would be impossible for human life to exist. Some look upon the Earth as the mother of the moon, and regard the sun as the father. This sex idea runs through most of their heathen religion, and there are more who worship the earth and the sun than there are who worship the God who created these heavenly bodies. I prolonged my investigations without becoming visible, taking note of numberless facts of interest which will ever be a source of pleasure and value to me. At length, however, I concluded to take advantage of a privilege and power I possessed, and, becoming visible, I entered a quiet room in the presence of a very distinguished man. He was by far the most highly educated person on the moon. I was more surprised than he, for I expected that he would be greatly agitated at my unaccountable appearance. Imagine my surprise when he sat motionless, gazing firmly into my face, which to him was out of harmony with all ideas of correct form. I was the first to speak, and although he had manifested outwardly such self-possession, I soon learned that it was a mere show of stoicism in the presence of one whom he thought to be a spirit. In an incredibly short time we were on easy speaking terms, and I was gaining the object of my visit. Among the many things of interest that I learned from this famous character were facts concerning the history of the moon.